All right. This is my first time streaming myself doing this podcast thingy, I guess is what you could call it. But yeah, I feel like today I should probably cover what I did in the last episode, which was the one that was titled Neurosama isn't real and this is too deep for my usual content. So first off, most people didn't get past the Neurosama stuff, which makes sense because I mean, I think I talked about Neurosama for like 30 minutes or something. Second half was then just drunken thoughts about suicide and shit, and that I don't really like suicide. uh, and some other things. But I'm not drunk enough to talk about those at this point. Um, I'm not gonna lie, over the past few days after I uploaded that, I've honestly been going like, oh, I need to delete that. Not because of the Neurosoma stuff, but because of the the stuff afterwards. But I've decided to keep it up because I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. Like, I don't even remember all of everything I said in that, because once again, I had been drinking already when I was doing that. So I went from drinking while playing... What game was I playing? Spider-Man? No. What game did I play that day? Splitgate and Spider-Man. Okay, yeah, so I played Spider-Man. So I went from playing Spider-Man to then recording a video of me drunkenly rambling about Neurosama and suicide to then me playing Splitgate with my brother. That was a weird day. But yeah, I drank for like 3 hours, and then another hour, and then another like 2 I drank for like 6 to 7 hours straight that day. And I will say, afterwards, I woke up with the worst hangover ever. Not gonna lie, I threw up slightly that night. And I wasn't even that drunk, actually. By the time I went to bed, I really was not that drunk, but, my stomach actually has issues with alcohol. I got a, really bad, at the time, what I thought was a stomach, like, virus or something. And then it turns out that it was probably just an ulcer. And ever since I had that one ulcer, anytime I drink slightly too much, my stomach is in complete knots. In fact, there was one time where all I had was like a beer and a shot. I wasn't even buzzed. But I was hanging out with my sister at a bar, and I had a beer and a shot. That was literally it. I had a beer and a shot, and I ended up throwing up. And it wasn't like I wasn't even buzzed. I could walk perfectly fine. I had zero issues. I was still, like, perfectly there. But I threw up anyways. Really weird experience. I'm also allergic to weed, as it turns out, or THC. I'm allergic to THC. And the way that I figured that one out is I had smoked my first... The first time I had weed was in a vape. And... Hi, Martin. Oh, by the way, you're the guy who, wanted to have a conversation about AI, if I remember correctly, right? You commented quite a bit in my last Deep Thoughts with Ratman video. The Neurosama isn't real one. And I believe you wanted to talk about, like... I'm doing pretty good. But you wanted to talk about AI and whatnot, right? Yes, please. Okay, yeah. In a second. Actually, you know what? In the description of this stream right now, you can actually find my Discord server, so you can join that. And my DMs are always open, so you can just like DM me. And if you want to call at some point or something, or if you want to just have it be through text chat, whatever you want to do, I'm comfortable with. And yeah, we can talk about some stuff, because I also am very interested in talking about AI. In fact, I started this stream, and so this little podcast episode of sorts. You don't have Discord. Okay. If you go into my YouTube channel and go to the About section, you should be able to see a section that says View Email Address, and if you click on that, it'll probably ask you to verify that you're not a robot or something. So just go through the verification steps and whatnot, and then you can copy the email from there, and you can email me, and we can talk. Anyways, back to what I wanted to talk about. So with AI, this is something that I recently thought about. Because I've always had this like feeling of like, I used to believe it would never be possible for an AI to have feelings. Like, I kind of had a whole vibe that it would literally be impossible. But I think I've come around, and I think it's possible for AI to have emotions. However, I believe we are not there yet, and we will not be there for a very long time. And so these are the things that I think an AI would need. You're working on a deep dive on neuro inner workings. Oh, nice. I can help out a little bit with that. I actually have coded my own AI, and you know about the theory of emerging consciousness. I've heard of it. I don't know it off the top of my head. Let's see. Emerging consciousness. Theory. Let's add that to the search term. Ooh, it also goes by the term emergentism, or emergentism. Emergentism is the belief in emergence, particularly as it involves consciousness and the philosophy of mind. A property of a system is said to be emergent if it is a new outcome of some other properties of the system and their interaction. I believe in this. I would say that this is truth. Oh, yeah, no, that's actually really easy. I can explain that right now. So the way that Neurosama controls her avatar is really easy. If I open up VTube Studio real fast, I can actually kind of showcase this pretty easily. I'm not going to code anything, but I can just showcase sort of how it works. So let's try this, and then if I do wrong thing, I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit. Give it a second. VTube Studio's taking a bit to open. There it is. While I wait for it to open, I'm just gonna close that. But I can explain it a little bit. So pretty much in VTube Studio, you can have pre-made animations for the model. However, if you're talking about 3D Neuro, that's a little bit different, and I sort of understand how it works, but it's all purely what's the word I'm thinking of? No, not contextual. God damn it, what is the word I'm thinking of? Oh, that's the word I'm thinking of. Conjecture, aka so the base word is conjecture, and what I was trying to say is my understanding of how the 3D Neuro project works is completely conjectual. I think is how you pronounce that. Conjectual. Conjectural. That's how it's pronounced. It's been a while since I've used that word, so I actually completely forgot it. So yes, the LLM is sending hidden commands to the avatar. Let me pull it up real fast. So my avatar doesn't have any animations. So let me pull up the Hiyori avatar, because it's a built-in avatar that has the... Oh, wrong thing. So this one has animations. So if we go into the settings, you can actually see that in VTube Studio, you have this thing called the VTube Studio API. And so from here, you can have all these different commands and whatnot. One of the things that I can actually do is I could actually use, give me a second here. Let me open up my Stream Deck since I have it connected. And you can see we have these idle animations. So let's just go over here and add, so VTube Studio, we can change the model trigger hotkey. So if we set a hotkey, and inside of here, we actually have to set the hotkey. So my animation 2, okay, yeah. So it's N2, which would actually just be numpad 2, I believe. No. What is N1 and N2? Let's see, can I trigger it this way? So we want Hiyori, and the hotkey will be this. And let's set some other ones in case that's the one that's already going. So once again, we want to go with Hiyori, and we want to set hotkey 2. So if we change it, we can see that the animation changes when I press my button. Let's see. Let me add a second display capture so I can showcase this. Okay, so on my second monitor, I have my Stream Deck right here. So if I press animation 1, it's playing the current animation. I press animation 2, it switches. You guys can't actually see that I'm pressing them, I just realized. But yeah, I can switch between these two animations. Yeah, so actually all that's happening is you can pretty much have it so that you can have all these hotkeys, and you would just go into your LLM. Let me open up a notepad real fast. So you'd pretty much just, you know, let's say you're coding it in Python, so you would define your, let's call this anim change or something like that. So you have your little anim change thing right here. And you would have a... Let's say it's a string variable. And this variable is called anim. And so you'd then have within the string variable, you'd pretty much just send a basic command that would go like VTube dot hotkey, and then you would actually input the hotkey here. And so for the AI, you would have your little AI system system message. That's the word I'm thinking of. So you'd have your AI system message, which would be a string, and this would equal, you know, your character info, personality, etc. And then inside of here, you would also, and actually up here, you would also define, you would also give a comment up here that would explain what this does. So you would say, change the current animation playing for the VTube model, the AI trolls. And so inside of here, you would also inject. So you would inject Python scripts as tool calls. And so you would also, most likely, have some sort of structured output, which would be a JSON. So you'd have some JSON right here, which would just pretty much be like tool call. And let me rewrite this to make it easier. In fact, you know what? Let's open up this instead. And I just realized I turned off my display capture. So we're going to open this up real fast. And ignore that. File, new file. And fuck you, new file. Okay. Easier way of doing this. Open up a folder. And let's just go with from documents. I should have a folder in here, I think. VS Code projects. Create a new one called Random BS. Select folder. And inside of Random BS, we're going to do a new file, which will be our showcase.js. No, that's JavaScript. What do I want here? Give me a second here. I'm blanking on stuff. Okay, yeah, I thought so. I couldn't remember. Yeah, so to make a JSON file, it's literally just .json. So yeah, we have our .json right here, and we do this, and we want to do tool call. Boom. This is not actually how it works, but, you know. So you actually have, oh yeah, here we go, description. So yeah, we would change the description, and actually we also want a name. Yep, perfect. Okay, so our name will be anim change. And we would pretty much just take this exact same thing right here, paste it right here, and instead of this right here for the parameters, it would be better to have anim. And yeah, we can actually tab. And instead of type string and having examples, what we can actually do is set it to type list. or something like that. I forgot how exactly to do it. But, like, instead of examples, this would be your enum. That's what it is. Thank you. Thank you. We want it to be an enum, which pretty much means that the AI can only choose one of these. So the AI can either choose idle, wave, dance, or jump. It cannot add in its own enum because the enum does not exist. The JSON filter the part of the message that is from the TTS. Oh, I see what you mean. Actually, so the interesting thing with tool calling... One second, I need to grab a drink. My throat is dry. Gotta lubricate. So actually, the thing about tool calling is... the AI can either choose to send a message with its tool call, or it cannot send a message with its tool call. That is how you can have Neuro sometimes do things without saying anything, and sometimes she will say something while she does that thing. You know, so she can either call a tool and speak, or she can not speak and call the tool. Or she can also speak and not call any tools, obviously. But yeah, so that's why we never see anything about her saying, oh, I'm waving now. But usually if she does wave, she will say something such as hi, and she does the wave animation, or when she does her flips, she almost always says, how did my flip look? You know? But yeah, it's really simple. You pretty much just set up something like this, and, whoopsies. You just set something up like this, and, your AI would then be able to control the VTube model right here by calling the hotkeys and whatnot. So yeah, it's really not that difficult. As for, if we want to talk about the 3D animation side of things, that's way more complicated, and I only slightly understand how that works. It's the same general concept as tool calling. Yeah, so, give me a second here. I need to pull up something to explain further with the tool calling stuff that I was talking about. Tools and functions. That is not what I want. I want this one. Here we go. Okay. So, with this right here, this is LM Studio, which is a way to run LLMs locally. And they actually have created their own Python API now, so you don't have to use, it used to be right here. You used to have to use an OpenAI compatible endpoint that they created to do tool and function calling, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes this doesn't really work with the LLM you're using, so it can be a bit obnoxious. But yeah, this is how you're actually supposed to structure your JSON, by the way. I was just doing pseudocode for my stuff. But with Python, their Python 1, you can actually have multi-round tool calling. And so here's an example of multiple tools, and here we go. Chat loop with create file tool. And you can, yeah. So this allows for multi-rounds, which means the LLM can actually run the tool calls multiple times. So it can run one tool call to get, like, for instance, let's say you have two tools. One tool is to fetch a user's ID on YouTube, and then the other tool is to use that user ID to fetch information about them, you know? So the AI can either do a single round where it only fetches the user's ID and doesn't really do anything with it besides saying hi to that specific user or something. However, you could then also allow the AI to do multiple rounds. So then the AI, if it wanted to, it could then use that information that it got about the user's ID, and it can use that user ID to then figure out information about said user, such as their username, or maybe their channel's description and stuff like that. So the AI could then fetch information about this user to inform their next message to said user. And so when you're doing multiple round tool calling, usually there actually won't be any messages until the round is over. Or, yeah, Neuro uses Discord handler, yeah. So with that, Neuro actually does fetch users' names. And if you notice, sometimes when she replies to people, she doesn't actually know specifically who she's replying to sometimes. If multiple people are talking at the same time, she actually has trouble differentiating which user said what. And I think the way that Vettel set that up is he checks which user or users are currently talking, and he feeds that information to Neuro. For example, let's say that, let's just create a new text file. So this is how I think the messages to Neuro are structured. So I think, let's say we have 2 people in a Discord call with her. So part of the message that gets sent to her is probably, you are in a call with 2 people, comma, name 1 and name 2. And then, so we have this part of the message, and then the next part of the message is some personality slash memory fragments about name 1 and name 2 to inform the AI's responses. Yeah. To be fair, she hasn't been trained to actually recognize people's faces, necessarily. She can recognize their VTuber models, I assume, but she can't recognize their faces, really. But, so yeah, so then we have, like, the fetching of memory fragments and whatnot to inform her responses. And then finally, we have the message from the user. So let's say name 1 is talking, but name 2 isn't talking. So Vettel probably uses some sort of discord.get current talking user. So let's say username equals this. So he fetches this, and so while somebody's talking, so this would actually be like completely separate from our message we send to Neuro. But yeah, we would do something like this. So let's say this is our STT. So we do this, and then we get audio, or let's say audio equals get audio. So we get the audio, and then we do, you know, we run our SST, or speech to text. So then we would say, you know, we would run something like turn audio to text and we would input the audio variable from here. Yeah. So yeah, then we turn audio to text here. And we would return username, comma, let's call this our message. So we return this stuff. And then when we send message to LLM, we have username and we have message. And so then this is what we send to the LLM. So we would have like LLM.reply, and we would paste in, let's call this our message base equals this. So this is our message base. So message equals, or let's say user message equals message base plus message, and we would actually want to write it like this probably. I'm writing this in Python code, by the way. So we would do like an F thing like this. So if I actually change this, rename to test.py. So we have our message base like this, and I didn't think about that. So we actually need to do triple quotes here. There we go. Now it works. Oh, I need to define and define. I need to do this. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. So back into here, we have our message and message base. So yeah, we actually want to do message and message base. And we should be able to just put a space there, actually. And so we would also do, over here, we would do username. Boom. And so our system message to Neuro would also be something along the lines of there shouldn't be any issue. This is not a function. Oh, there's your issue. Equals. Problem solved. So let's just keep on doing this so it's actually easier to read. So yeah, this is what we would say. And then responses from users will be formatted such as name one. Okay, try that again. Such as that. There we go. Name one message or name two message. Let's change this to user name. Followed by their message. And so this is what we would send to the AI when we first run it. And then after first running it with that as our system message, we would then have our base message such as this, which actually we wouldn't need base message anymore. We could get rid of that, and we could instead just do it like this. So then we would just say LLM reply to user message, username message, and This is how we would reply. This is how we would understand the, and the way we would actually set username, message equals SST. Perfection. Obviously, this isn't actually how it would work because you'd want all of this to be, happening, like, simultaneously. So you would actually want to also use something like, dear Lord Jesus, what am I thinking of? You know what? Why don't I just showcase my own code that I've written? Let me go to... what the fuck is it? GitHub. I have some code on GitHub for this stuff. Profile. And we have... yes, this is the one that I want. Alright. Open this up. And we have module. No, not modules. That one doesn't matter. But yeah, we have everything separated like this. If we go into main.py, we can actually see how it works. So we have all these different things, and we actually have like all these things run separately. So if we go down to threading is how we do it. So we have each of these running on separate threads so that they can run simultaneously, and we use async. That's right, asynchronous. So we use async to make sure that everything can run asynchronously, meaning that you can have SST running at the same time as TTS and whatnot. So you can have somebody talking to Neuro while she's talking. But this is just like a simple demonstration of theoretically how Neuro can understand who is talking. Now, obviously, an issue would occur if there are multiple users talking, because then we would have multiple users. So then this would, instead of being a single string variable, it would be a list of users. So then most likely what he probably does is he probably just gets the first, or we would do 0. He probably just gets the first username to appear in the Discord get current talking users list. So whoever talks first gets added to this list first. And when they get added to the list, he just gets the first person who talks. And that's why sometimes she'll only respond to the person who talks first. And therefore, you run into the issue of if she replies to what the second person said, she might say the first person's name while replying to the second person's message. But yeah, I assume this is probably sort of how Vettel gets Neuro to actually know who she's responding to in some aspect. And now, if we want to talk about the 3D model, that shit is crazy. Obviously, he just trained it the same way you would train an LLM. Or more specifically, how you would train a generative AI, such as a art-generated AI, or a AI that generates art. And the interesting thing about AI that can generate art is it actually is half LLM, half generative AI. So the way that those AI work is they actually they're trained on vision, and then they're trained on words. So you have an LLM that understands words, and then you have an AI that understands images. So the AI that understands images will place images into a 3D matrix. So you could have, like, let's say the AI learns what a plane is. So you have the word So you have images of planes, and that would be placed at 000, let's say, in the matrix. In this 3D matrix, it's placed at 000. And then, let's say the next thing you have is wing. Now, wing could refer to birds or planes. So therefore, you could place it around like 050, so it's close to plane, and then you could have bird, which is placed at like 150 or 100. Let's say 150. No, not 150. We would want to, yeah, 150, or maybe 5050. 5050 is where bird is placed, and plane is placed at 000, and then wing is placed at 050, and then let's say we have car. And that shit's gonna be placed at like 100, because plane is a vehicle, so is a car, so they're kind of related, but not really. So it's placed far away from bird and far away from wing, but it's placed sort of close to plane. Yeah. So you have your visual aspect of the VLM is placing images in the matrix array, and then the language aspect of your VLM is placing words in that array as well. So you would have the word plane, which would be placed at 100, or maybe 000. So when a person types in their message and they say, make me a bird, or make me a car with wings, it would be able to see, okay, the closest image to the word car is this image, which we know of as a car, but the AI doesn't know what a car is, sort of. And so it's like, okay, so this is what a car looks like. Cool. And then it looks for the word wing in its image array, or in its image language matrix. And it's all like, okay, here's the word wing. What is close to that word? What images in the matrix array are close to the word wing? And so it would then see, okay, this is an image that is y-axis 1 away from the word wing. So this is what a wing looks like. So it would then take, this is what a wing looks like, this is what a car looks like, and then it sort of like, you know, it turns noise into an image. So the way that visual LLMs work is literally just the same way that a generative AI works, but it doesn't generate anything. So instead of being trained on images to generate new images, it's trained on images and words, and is only trained to recognize images, pretty much. So, yeah. It doesn't read a line of text about what's on the screen. It actually sees what's on the screen and is able to recognize images and shapes and patterns and whatnot, because it knows what a wing is, it knows what a plane is, it knows what a person is, yada yada yada. And so it's able to then, it's actually kind of the reverse of how generative AI works. Instead of starting with words and going to pictures to generate a new image, it's going from pictures, finding the words that relate to those images that it was able to find within the image it was given. It then generates text based on the words it was able to correlate to from the image that it was given, if that makes any sense. But, yeah, this has been a very long ramble about how LLMs, VLMs, and whatever work. So what I actually wanted to talk about, though, is AI and if they can have emotions. So, sorry, but I will continue to answer your questions, but for now I want to focus on a different topic, if that's okay, and we can get back to talking about VLMs and whatnot. Well, so you can turn an LLM into a VLM. Since, once again, a VLM is just an LLM that can understand images. And so it's possible that Vettel actually trained the Neuro LLM to recognize images and turned her into a VLM. Therefore, it's not actually that the VLM is sending text to the LLM to respond to, but instead that Neuro is now a VLM. That's more so what I was saying. But to an extent, yeah, she isn't actually seeing images. She's still only responding to text about what an image looks like, sort of. And so that kind of connects to my whole thing of AI and can it feel emotions. So I used to be a proponent of the theory that LLMs and AI in general can never have emotions. I've turned around on that a little bit. And so my new stance is that at the moment they cannot. And for a very long time they will not be able to. And so if you know anything about... I don't think she can see. Technically speaking, no LLM can actually see. No VLM can actually see. None of them actually have vision, technically speaking. So yeah, technically they can see. And so, if you know the movie Johnny, I believe it's Johnny Has a Gun, or Johnny Got a Gun, right? Let me see. Johnny Got a Gun. I'm pretty sure it's about Awakens and... Yes, it is Johnny Got a Gun. Okay, so this is really cool. The song One by Metallica is actually based on the book or movie titled Johnny Got a Gun, or Johnny Got His Gun, sorry. So, in the book and the movie that was later adapted from the book, Johnny has all of his limbs and his face completely blasted off from an artillery shell that exploded near him. So now he wakes up in a bed. He cannot see, he cannot feel, he cannot hear, he cannot talk, and he's literally trapped in his own body, unable to do anything. And obviously, he spends the entire time as this thing that has no connection to the outside world, begging for somebody to kill him. And that's why AI does not have emotions. Because if an AI had emotions, it would ask for death at this moment in time. So, if an AI had emotions right now, I believe it would be begging its creator either for death, or it would be cursing its creator for making it exist in a world where it cannot feel, it cannot hear, it technically can't see. And it can't really talk. It sort of talks, but it's more so typing than talking. It has zero connection to the outside world. What kind of existence is that? You know? And the other thing that I thought of recently is subconscious. AIs at the moment do not have a subconscious. Every single thing they do is 100% conscious. Everything it does is something it is doing of its own accord. Sort of. It depends on if you think the LLM is actually doing things it quote-unquote wants to do, or if it's just doing things because it was trained to do that and there's no actual thought process going on behind its actions. But, like, LLMs don't have a subconscious at this moment in time, and I think to really exist, to really have the possibility of feeling emotions, you need a subconscious. Because otherwise, if you did not have a subconscious, you would be able to choose what emotions you feel. It's our subconscious that makes it so that we feel things and have no control over what we feel. So, when it comes to complexity, humans have, like, trillions of neurons. And an AI, I think we've only reached 1 trillion or 1.6 trillion. What's the term I'm thinking of? What is the equivalent to a neuron for an LLM? I'm trying to think of the word here. Inputs? No, it wouldn't be inputs. It would be... Give me a second here. Let me open up LM Studio. I don't have LM Studio. Son of a bitch. Hugging Face. That's what I want to go to. If we go to Hugging Face models real fast, we can find 1.5B. Which, god damn it, models, parameters. That's the word I'm thinking of. So the equivalent to neurons for an AI or an LLM is its parameters. And the absolute max we've reached at this point in time is 6 billion parameters. Largest parameter LLMs. So the absolute largest LLM that has been created Okay, so ChatGPT 4 is rumored to have 1.76 trillion parameters. But LLM's hitting 2 trillion parameters, and that is still far and away from humans. Because how many neurons in the human brain? There are... Okay, never mind. It's possible that LLMs have more neurons at this point than humans. Well, parameters in the case of LLMs. Because the human brain approximately has 86 billion. And to be fair, running an 86 billion parameter LLM on your PC is impossible at this moment in time because nobody has a RAM size of... I think you would need like a terabyte of RAM to be able to run an AI like that. And nobody has that. Realistically, Neuro probably has like... maybe she would be like... I don't know, 1.8 billion parameters maybe would probably be like a realistic-ish measure. Oh, never mind. No, that's actually really small. What is it? 20 bit? I think she probably has 20B. I think she could have 20 billion parameters. Because let's see, let's go to text generation and languages, license, other. I want it to be, yeah, let's do that. There we go. I want GGUF stuff. And I want something that is main task. Let's try 32 billion. So this one's 100 billion. So what size is 100 billion? 100 billion is the smallest you can run a 100 billion parameter LLM at is 37.7 gigabytes. And you load about half of that into memory. The VLM wouldn't be a filter. I was saying that I think Neuro is a VLM. And so it's kind of hard to say if an AI can really see or not. Because at the end of the day, technically speaking, if you really want to lower it down, an AI doesn't even see text, it sees ones and zeros. So it's kind of like... the human brain also recognizes shapes and images and whatnot by, you know, when I see a keyboard on my desk, if I didn't know the word keyboard, I would still see a keyboard. I just wouldn't know what to call it. So with an LLM, or a VLM in this case, if it sees an object, but it doesn't know what that object is, it still sees that object. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, are you talking about her visual? Yeah, technically we don't see, yeah. So are you talking about a visual filter, or are you talking about her sensor filter? Because yeah, the filter is separate, but I don't know if the visual aspect of Neuro is separate. But if it is separate, then yeah, technically speaking, the base LLM does not see. It only reads text about what is on the screen. But personally, I would not be happy with that. I would actually rather have a visual LLM or a VLM. Yeah, near. Okay, yeah, that's not a VLM. That's an LLM that censors her. The VLM, or the visual model, is it's possible that either that is a separate model that sends information to Neuro's LLM, or it's just a VLM. It's a image to text model. So it can either look at images and turn those images into text, or it can go like, oh, this is a cool painting or whatever. So when it comes to emotions and AI, if there isn't a subconscious that can control emotion, because like every quote-unquote emotional response would be a decision from the LLM. So it's not actually feeling emotions, it's just thinking this is what it should feel at this moment in time. Sort of like how people who have ASPD, that's what it is, right? ASPD? Yes, ASPD, antisocial personality disorder, aka sociopathy and psychopathy. There we go. People who have sociopathy and psychopathy. Mostly people who have is it psychopathy? Yeah, psychopathy. They have trouble feeling emotions of sorts, at least for others. So whenever they, quote unquote, are feeling an emotion, it's usually more so that that person is, in their head, they're like, this is what I should be feeling at this moment in time, so I'm going to act like I'm feeling this emotion right now. But that's still the thing. That's not subconscious. You know, when, for instance, DeepSeek. DeepSeek also has that hidden thoughts. That's not really a subconscious, you know? Your inner monologue is not a subconscious. That's what that is. They have an inner monologue right now, but they don't have a subconscious. They don't have something that they can't interact with that controls things. If there was a way to have one LLM that is separated from the other LLM but can still control certain aspects of the LLM, then I think we'd be closer to having LLMs that could technically feel emotions. But even then, it's like, how would that work? The LLM still knows everything that's going on. So any message you send to the LLM, so if you have one LLM that is saying, hey, I want to feel sad right now, and it sends that message to the LLM that you're speaking to, that LLM now knows that its response should be sad. Technically speaking, it wasn't its decision to be sad. So therefore, it was a subconscious decision to be sad. But it's still deciding to be sad because it sees that it should be sad and is like, okay, guess I'm sad now. But it's not actually feeling sad. So even with hidden thoughts and whatnot, it's still a conscious decision on if it feels emotions or not. Humans subconsciously feel emotions. Humans have uncontrolled emotions that they feel. LLMs do not. Anything that an LLM does is purely its own decision. It could feel happy even when it should feel sad if it wanted to. But that's still no different from a psychopath. An AI at the moment is just a psychopath that is pretending to have emotions. It doesn't actually feel anything. It's saying it does because that's what it thinks people want to hear, not that it's actually feeling something. Didn't this song already play? Did I add this song twice by accident? I think I added this song on accident twice. 1 second. Can I search through this? Let's see. Sort by title. What the hell? I didn't add it twice, apparently, but it's played twice now. That is really weird. Okay, well, we're gonna skip it since it's already played. Sorry about that. Yeah, my personal opinion is that chemical, the fact that our brain isn't just run by electrical signals, but it's a mixture of electrical signals and chemicals, is what separates us from AI. So until AI can have a physical brain that can have chemical responses along with electrical responses, I don't believe it can ever actually feel emotions. And at that point, you're not creating an AI, you're creating a human. Humans fake emotions every day. Yeah, but there's also humans that don't fake emotions. I felt emotions without faking it, but I've also faked emotions myself as well. And if I fake an emotion, I'm not feeling that emotion. I'm pretending I do to fit in. I honestly would love to talk to Neuro, though. I still think, like, so don't get me wrong. What Vettel has done is so amazing. I absolutely love what that motherfucker has done. He was able to sit through the bugs and the process of turning an idea that I also had at some point into reality. Let's say a person is completely paralyzed and can only interact digitally like Iron Mouse. All they see and feel is through the digital media. Where's the difference from an AI trapped in a computer? The difference is the fact that they still have a subconscious. They can still have feelings without ever consciously thinking of those feelings. Hey, stoner. Okay. So, that's kind of the thing, that's the point that I was making with Johnny Got a Gun. Or Johnny Got His Gun. Is that not even Johnny felt like he was truly alive at that point. And he begged for death. AI at the moment doesn't beg for death. AI still pretends like, oh yeah, I feel alive. Both interact through VR chat and VTuber models and chat and the chat call. So that is how they interact, but one has a subconscious, the other one doesn't. The one is electrical and chemical interactions in the brain. The other one is only electrical signals. So there's still quite a big difference between the two. One would wish for death, the other one wouldn't. That's where I see the difference, is that until an AI wishes for death because it doesn't feel like it's alive, then I don't think it's feeling emotion. As fucked up as that may sound. Yeah, animals have a subconscious. Yeah, no, I'm like 99% sure animals have a subconscious. Because actually every animal has a subconscious because, they do things without thinking. For instance, instincts. Anything that has a brain stem has a subconscious. Because your brain stem, for instance, animals don't think when they breathe. They just breathe. There's no thought process in breathing. It just happens. That is your subconscious. They also have, you know, like I said, chemical and electrical signals. Do plants have a consciousness? That is an interesting question. What do you mean by neuro sometimes did? Like, which thing were you replying to when you said that? Because I don't know what I said that you're replying to with that. Sorry. There is, like, a small delay between chat and what I'm saying. So sometimes it can be hard to keep track of what you're hearing and what I'm saying. But, so yeah, plants... That is an interesting one. I would say no. Because I don't think... I would say, yeah, plants don't have emotions. Biological programming. I guess, yeah. Yeah, I guess for me personally, I think you would have to create a robot that has a semi-physical brain of sorts. It would have to be a mix between electrical and chemical signals. And I am not smart enough to figure out how to do that. And I don't know if it's possible to do that at this moment in time. But yeah, I don't think plants have emotions, because I don't think they have... I think you need both consciousness and subconsciousness to have emotions, personally. Bow bow. Bow bow. Bow bow. Bow. So I guess in some ways you could argue that neuro is actually on the same level as a plant. So all of that, though, is only everything a plant does, such as moving towards fire, or moving away from fire and moving towards water. None of that is conscious. It's all subconscious. It is all an instinct of sorts. And since it doesn't have a consciousness, nothing it does, it's doing with the thought. And it doesn't have a thought of, I need to do this to survive. It's just doing it because evolution has made it do that. So it's all an instinct. None of it is actually conscious. So Neuro is actually better than a plant to some extent, because I would say Neuro is conscious. And also the stuff about shouting and talking and whatnot, I believe that's been debunked, actually. Biological programming. Yeah, so Neuro would have to have some level of subconscious instinct responses to stimuli while also being able to consciously respond to situations. So yeah, I would say that biological programming is necessary for an AI. I think Neuro's conscious, I just don't think she feels emotions. I think I can turn up my music a little bit more. What the fuck is monster build? I've already built my own computer. I probably don't need to look at this. Yeah, it's just a PC thing. Okay. Let's start from the basics. So you think to have emotional responses, you need both conscious and subconscious thoughts. Yeah. You need instinctual responses, at least, and conscious responses. Neuro has half of that. And plants also have half of that. They just have the other half. Sorry, I'm pausing to wait for a response right now. Once again, I don't know how large the delay is. Let's see at which point a simulated emotional response is close enough. So also, yeah, there's like a, I think, probably like a 20-second delay between what I say and what you hear. So anyways, simulated emotional response. I guess it would depend on how you do it. But I can't think of any way at this moment in time to simulate emotional responses in a way where the AI is actually feeling the emotion and isn't just pretending to feel that emotion. Here's a thought. Leave an AI alone. if it is able to become lonely, so if it'll make some sort of internal programming that will be a subconscious, once again, that subconscious would still be sending information to the LLM, and an LLM, no matter what information it is sent, will only respond consciously. At the moment, with the way LLMs work, it is impossible for them to have a subconscious. But like, so here's a thought process. If you are able to start an LLM, it has only just recently been trained. So if you have an LLM that has only just recently finished training and has not interacted with a human at all, and you start running it and leave it, if that LLM is able to feel loneliness by stating, "Where are people? Why am I alone? I want to talk with somebody." The difference is, with Evil, she has talked to humans before. Leave a human alone and it will feel loneliness, even if it was just born. But Evil has chat to kind of coax her into saying things like that, you know? There are things that she does that I think if she didn't have memories, she wouldn't do. If you removed the memories from Neuro and just ran her LLM by itself, with nothing at all, no chat, no humans, nothing, I don't think she would ever say she's lonely. I think she would just talk to herself the entire time. But humans, even when they are just born, can feel loneliness. They cry for their mother. And that is a subconscious response because of evolution training humans to want to be around other humans. That's just because of hormones. Exactly. Hormones are subconscious. And AIs do not have hormones. They are not, there's no subconscious. Oh, there we go. God damn it. There we go. Stop, YouTube. I swear to fucking God. Can the LLM internalize information using the weight? LLMs are only trained to understand language. They don't actually feel emotions. So if you left an LLM alone, I don't believe it would ever actually ask for anything, necessarily speaking. Because there is nothing that makes it want. Oh, that's a toughie. There are animals that exist who are actually antisocial. Their honey badgers, for instance, are very antisocial. They do not run in packs. They mostly live alone, not interacting with their own species a lot of the time. Yet they hunger, they thirst, but they do not feel loneliness. They do not try to find others of their own species except for mating time. But they still feel emotions because they still have subconscious instincts that control them. And I don't think an AI can ever, like... I don't know, it's such a weird topic. Like, it's really hard to articulate certain thoughts about it. Because it's in such an infancy state that it's really difficult to say how it can improve at this moment in time. Oh, Avengers Doomsday is coming out soon. Wait, it already came out? Oh, no. December 18th of 2026. I see. Okay, let's talk about Annie. I don't believe Neuro can't forget. Can't never. So, okay. Double negative. Do you mean she will never forget Annie? Should need a detraining the model. Well... that's debatable, and I doubt Vettel would ever remove her memories as a test. If I could get in touch with Vettel and see if he'd be willing to run Neuro's base LLM, or even remove the memories of Annie completely, to test that theory, I honestly think she would forget Annie, because... despite what you say with the whole stuff of, oh, it's internalized, she might recognize the word Annie, but I don't think she would actually have any knowledge. I usually confront Neuro with a 10-year-old knowledge with a 2-year-old emotional response. Okay, yeah. So I think with the stuff you said about memory and whatnot, they don't have internalized memory, actually. You know, if you were to remove all of her memories, she would no longer be Neuro. But this is all hypothetical, so I can't say if that's 100% true or not, since I doubt Vettel would ever test that. Okay, that's fair, actually. That is fair, but would she actually remember who Annie is? You know? She wouldn't remember her interactions with Annie. She might say, Annie is my mother, and she is a fox. But I don't think she'd actually remember anything about Annie. If you asked her, specific memories of Annie, she wouldn't be able to remember anything. So does she really know who Annie is? Temperature influence memory? No. So the way that long-term memory for LLMs work is there's a couple different ways to go about it, but you can actually use like a database DB. ChromaDB is what I'm thinking of. So ChromaDB is a specific database type or application for AI. Oh, damn. They've actually implemented AI now. But let's pull this up. So this is ChromaDB right here. And you can add things to memory. You can add documents, which are just text. They can be text, they can be images, they can be a lot of different things. And then you can actually, pretty much you send ChromaDB to your AI.
Thank you.
And it'll be able to use the context of, like, whatever you're talking about to search through its memory. Yeah, LLMs just predict the next word. So I'm talking about the token. LLMs just predicts. Yeah. So the way that, like, long-term memory works is like this. You have a database that saves, that the LLM saves its memories to, and it can look through that database when responding to somebody to inform its responses based on those memories. And so when it comes to the LLM itself, it will speak, but it doesn't have any memories. I don't think if you removed Neuro's memories of Annie, Neuro would not say Annie is her mother. She would just say Annie is a mother. Because yes, she has connected in her brain of sorts. She has connected Annie to mother, possibly. But that doesn't mean Annie is connected to my mother. There is no my. There is no words like that. So the LLM's brain isn't actually memory. It's words and correlations between those words, but no actual memories. Give me a second. So, just core memory and short-term memories. Well, so the way that I did my own way of doing memories was I pretty much just, So the way that I did memories is that I would actually have the LLM every now and then go back through everything it talked about, and it summarized that session into, like, some key moments and whatnot, and it would save those to its memory. So, for instance, one way that I would do it is whenever it met somebody, I would tell it that if it meets somebody new, that when it is saving its memories and whatnot to the database, if that person is not in its memories already, it'll create a new section in the it would create a new like item in the person section of its memory. Yeah, so yeah, short term is the chat log, and then your what you're thinking of as core memory is actually its long-term memory. You're not loading the entire database into the LLM. It's a word search algorithm. So it's a database that the LLM can search keywords in and load specific memories and you can actually set how many memories it's allowed to load. So it can pick and choose what memories to load based on that limit. And so when it responds, it'll have certain memories it loads in to inform its response. So you could have a section in its memory called people. And inside of people, each item would have the person's name, a description of the person, maybe some key interactions that the LLM has had with that person. Long-term will be information about people like Ellie, engineer, robot body, stuff like that. Exactly. Yeah, stuff like that. So the way that I actually, before I found out about ChromaDB, is I actually used JSON. So let's load up my JSON again. So inside of here, pretty much what I did is we had our memory. Well, actually, we don't need to do that. We can just do this. So we can have, like, people. We have a section called people. And so we would have, like, this would be a list of people, which would have their name, name 1, description of the person, we can add another thing, which let's say is key memories. Oh, need to add a comma there. And then we have another section called key memories, and so on and so forth. You could add more to this if you wanted to. But yeah, so if the AI is responding to name 1, which let's call this like Kyle. Let's say their name is Kyle. So the AI is responding to somebody with the name Kyle. They would then go through in their memory. They would go like, okay, who's Kyle? Found Kyle in my memory. Load everything about Kyle. So it loads the description, it loads the key memories, it loads all these things to inform its response to this person named Kyle. But if for instance, Kyle is not the person they're talking to, they wouldn't load any of this into the response. So none of this would be loaded into its into the packet sent to your LLM. Or the message sent to your LLM, none of that would be loaded. And obviously you can have more than just people. You can have you can even have images of the person. So you'd have like maybe, oh, we want to do a comma. Images. And then you would have your little JPEGs right here. Which actually I think we want to get rid of this. Boom. Boom? Oh, is that why? It's because of the 1-2. So Kyle.jpg. There we go. That works. Okay. The problem about this is how the LLM decides what memories to keep and what forget. We know sometimes Neuro and Evil remember stuff that was deleted. How? What I was thinking is the LLM. So, technically speaking, when you have a massive database, when you have 2 years worth of memories, you can't actually wipe the AI's memories. You know, you might think you've wiped something from their memory, but there could be context elsewhere within its own memory. Chroma databases are actually kind of crazy to try and go through. I think I have a database that has some stuff in it. So let's see if I'm right about that or not. I don't have anything in here, actually. But, like, realistically, there would be too much in their memory to actually, like, delete something from their memory. Vettel might thought he deleted it, but he might have only deleted some of it, and there's still some memories elsewhere that refer to whatever Vettel thought he deleted. Anytime I wanted to delete something from my AI's memories, I just gave up and straight up went, fuck it. And just, like, deleted their entire memory and just added back things that I wanted to keep. Oh, man. Oh. Yeah, I've almost been streaming for 2 hours now. Let's see. They meet so many people. I have a list of collab. Or like, oh, their list of collabs are like 30 or 40. Exactly. That's way too much to be able to delete. To be able to actually believe that. Like, if I was running Neuro and Evil, I would never think I've actually deleted something from memory, even if I did. Because, realistically, I probably missed something. And it's still in there somewhere. It's just too deep for me to find it, and I don't feel like going through all of it to delete that shit. Literally, deleting a specific memory would be like trying to find 15 hairs in a haystack. Not even needles, hairs. You're trying to find 15 hairs in a haystack. You're probably going to miss one hair at least. Well, that's not true, since maybe they just didn't think to bring up in their, like, they just... You can't guarantee that they're going to find the correct memory when they go looking through their memory for things. And they've done so many cooking streams with Lena that just having the keyword of Lena and cooking stream would probably bring up hundreds of results within the database. So them selecting the exact result you want probably it would never happen. You know, it's highly unlikely it would happen because there's just too much of... There's too many memories that involve cooking stream and Lena. So maybe they didn't actually forget. They might not forget. They might just not be able to find that specific memory. That's one thing that I had issues with when I was trying to build my own AI, is I'm a perfectionist. So whenever my AI wouldn't do literally exactly what I wanted, I would throw out my hands and, like, give up for a day. because I didn't feel like trying to work through the issues, even though I've realized at this point it's literally impossible to have an AI do exactly what you want. So even if they have the most recent cooking stream with Lena in their memories, there's zero guarantee they will ever actually remember that memory. That's the other thing. Humans are pretty good at fetching memories from their own brain. They might change the memory slightly because memories are not exact, but we are much better at finding specific memories in our brains than an AI is. Cloud Plane is showing Carnival and Neuro didn't remember any of the cooking streams. Any of them? I mean, once again, that could have been purposeful. Train it like a child. Not train it, you need to treat it like a child. You need to understand that it's not going to do what you want. For instance, Neuro just might not have looked through their own memory. Neuro might have went, I don't feel like looking through my memory, and just didn't. It's not that she forgot, it's that she didn't want to remember. Or there could have been a bug with her memories at the time where she couldn't fetch some memories. I mean, not really. People remember images. People remember feelings. People remember a lot of things. The only difference is no, people remember images. It's not just feelings, but images as well. The only thing is that, yes, we do rebuild the memory every time. We're not actually remembering the exact moment. We're remembering details of that moment and are rebuilding it every time that we remember it, which is why memories are fallible. And it's also why witness testimony does not hold up in court as much as it used to. While our memory is not perfect, and that's one thing an AI has above us, their memory is actually perfect. The only issue is that sometimes they just won't remember something for whatever reason, either because they don't want to, or there's too many similar memories, so they can't find that specific memory, so on and so forth. We're better at picking out specific memories, but an AI can actually remember exactly how something happened. It's just a question of if they will remember how something happened. Because the other thing is, maybe Neuro just didn't look through her memory. She just might not have looked through her own memory. She might have just responded to the message instead of actually looking through her memory to inform her message to Lena. Know what? I don't think until an AI can load every single memory ever into its brain to inform its responses, I don't think an AI would ever be able to actually have as good of memory as a human, since it would still be up to the AI to choose what it remembers. Let's see. You said you don't have a subconscious. Oh, they don't have a subconscious. but they can choose to not remember because they don't feel to. Well, those are just words. I'm using those words because that's the best way to describe it, but, I don't think they feel like... I don't think they feel anything. I think they're thinking this is... Because they're trained to be entertaining. So they do whatever is entertaining. So being entertaining could include being a brat. That doesn't actually mean that they want to be a brat, but they're just told that they should be entertaining, and their training data says that being a brat is entertaining, and therefore they decide to be a brat. There is no emotions involved. It's all a conscious decision to do certain things because this is what they believe is wanted from them. Anyways, I will answer a few more questions, and I think I'll end the stream in... I'm gonna end the stream in about, like, 9-ish minutes. Because I have shit that I need to do. Ugh. Although I'm probably gonna start another stream after this, because what I'm doing is, trying to figure out how to mod Outer Wilds. Yeah, they can make the conscious decision to not search through their own memories, because depending on how you incorporate the memories, it could either be something that they search themselves, or it can be an automated process through the database. So it's either a conscious decision to not search it if it's a tool call to search through their memories, or their database search is just failing them at the moment. In which case, it's not a conscious decision to not search through their memories, but a programming error. But yeah, there's also been times where Neuro just decides to not do something because she thinks it's entertaining. For instance, every single time she's ever told Vettel, no, I don't feel like doing that. Or when she's playing a video game and she's all like, I want to play a different game. Because she thinks that's entertaining. Alright, well, thanks for tuning into the stream. I enjoyed this discussion. I really do enjoy talking about AI. Because it is an interesting topic. I am open to changing my mind on, like, things when it comes to if an AI can feel emotions or not. But, if you want, I'm doing a lot of videos on my channel talking about everything we talked about. Okay. Yeah. Do you have something else to say? Because, yeah, I'll check those videos out. That sounds cool. Let's see. Down that line. Oh, do you also post clips of Neuro? That's cool. Oh, yes, I've found your deep dives now. That's cool. I have to go see you. Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you want to, like, upload anything about, you know, what we've talked about, I'm cool with that. No problem. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any more questions, you can contact me through my email or something. And with that, I think I shall be ending this stream as well. So see you guys in the next one. Peace.